Hello, welcome to Phantom Homicide, the topic. Today, we're doing a deep dive into someone truly chilling, Rodney Alcala.
hmm A name that, for many, instantly brings up this bizarre, almost surreal image.
Right, the dating game killer. It sounds like something out of a bad movie, but the irony is just stomach churning when you know the reality.
It really is, because
Yeah.
that appearance back in 1978, that charming guy on TV,
Yeah.
he wasn't just putting on a persona. He was, actively engaged in a brutal multi-state killing spree at that time.
It's hard to wrap your head around that contrast. He presented himself as this adventurous, successful photographer,
Yeah.
skydiving, motorcycling, witty banter.
The perfect bachelor. Well, behind that mask, he was a sadist, a
Yeah.
predator hunting victims.
And the scale of his confirmed crimes is already staggering, even before you get into the speculation.
It is. We have convictions for 7 murders.
Yeah.
4 in Los Angeles County, 1 down in Orange County, 2 back in New York.
Plus an indictment for one more in Wyoming, right?
Correct. That came much later. These confirmed crimes span from roughly 1971 to 1979.
But then there's that number you sometimes hear, up to 130 victims. Where does that come from? Is it solid?
Well, solid is tricky. It's an estimate, really, based on law enforcement looking at the sheer volume of photographs he kept as trophies.
The ones from the storage locker.
Exactly. Thousands of pictures, combined with a number of unsolved disappearances and murders in the areas he operated, it suggests his activities might have been far, far more extensive than the 7 we can prove in court.
So a horrifying possibility, but the confirmed count is 7 plus the indictment.
Yes. And that's where our focus is today. We want to go beyond just the dating game shock value.
We need to trace how this predator started, how the system failed to stop him again and again.
And critically, we need to unpack that incredibly complex, decades-long legal fight. The one that finally allowed prosecutors to consolidate 5 of those California murders, the Orange County case and the 4 LA cases, into one trial.
Because that was the key, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Treating him as one systematic threat, not separate incidents.
Absolutely. And how forensic breakthroughs, DNA, bite marks, those trophies from a Seattle storage locker finally pulled it all together after so many years. This is about how science and legal strategy eventually unmasked him.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Where did Rodney Alcala come from?
He was born in 1943. Yeah. And the records show pretty early on he was exceptionally intelligent.
That high IQ is always mentioned, like genius level.
Some sources estimate it could have been as high as 160. Other tests, like one by a military psychiatrist, put it at 135, which is still very high.
And that intelligence, it feels crucial to understanding how he operated, right? This wasn't random impulse.
No, not at all. It points to a calculating mind, someone capable of planning, manipulation, covering tracks, and later manipulating the legal system itself.
But that intelligence came with problems, volatility.
Definitely volatility. He joined the Army young, at 17, served as a clerk, even tried the paratrooper program. But it didn't last long.
What happened?
In 1964, he had what was described as a nervous breakdown. He actually went AWOL, hitchhiked across the country.
And that led to his discharge.
Yes, a medical discharge. And this is where we see the first really significant red flag documented officially.
The diagnosis.
Antisocial personality disorder, chronic, severe. That was the finding from a military psychiatrist.
Chronic, severe. That sounds definitive, a clear warning sign.
It absolutely was. It points to a profound lack of empathy, manipulative tendencies, a disregard for rules, and others' safety. He was identified as a potential danger way back then.
But somehow that didn't stop him, because just 4 years later, 1968, we get the first truly horrifying public incident.
The attack on Tali Shapiro. She was only 8 years old.
In Hollywood, how did he even approach her?
Classic grooming, predatory behavior. He lured her into his apartment, told her he knew her parents, just walked up to her.
And once inside,
He raped her and beat her severely with a steel bar. Police were alerted by someone who actually saw him lead her away.
so the police arrived while he was still there.
Yes, they found Tali in a pool of blood on his kitchen floor.
And Alcala, did he just surrender?
No. This is where that calculation kicks in again.
Yeah.
He answered the door, stalled the officers, claimed he was in the shower.
Unbelievable.
And while they were focused on the front and, the horrific scene inside, he slipped out the back door, vanished.
Did Tally fall? Did she survive?
She did, thankfully, but she was in a coma for 32 days. The trauma was immense.
And the legal consequences for Alcala at that point.
Minimal, tragically. The Shapiro family, understandably shattered, moved to Mexico. they refused to return to testify.
So without their
The
testimony.
most serious charges, like attempted murder, couldn't proceed effectively. A warrant was issued, but he was already gone.
Fled California. And this is where the aliases start, right?
Exactly. He pops up in New York City, enrolling at NYU Film School under the name John Berger. Sometimes John Berger.
Hiding in plain sight again. Using that intelligence, that interest in film and photography as cover.
And it's under that alias, while supposedly studying film in 1971, that he commits his first known murder.
Cornelia Crilly.
Yes, 23 years old, a TWA flight attendant. Found in her Manhattan apartment. Raped. Strangled with her own nylon stockings.
How did he get in? Any idea?
The theory, based on the circumstances, is that she might have accepted his help moving furniture. He was charming, maybe carrying camera gear, seemed harmless.
The photographer persona again, using it as a lure.
It seems so. This is the first confirmed time the persona directly led to a murder.
So the FBI gets involved at this point.
Yes. After the Crilly murder and the link back to the California warrant, he lands on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
But he's still using the alias.
Still John Berger, he gets a job at an arts camp up in New Hampshire. Camp New Beginnings.
An arts camp, working with potentially young people again.
It seems so. But his luck finally ran out there. Some campers recognized his face from a wanted poster.
And they reported him.
They did. He was arrested in August 1971.
Okay, so arrested, 10 most wanted. Surely this is where the system finally puts him away for a long time.
You would think so. He was extradited back to California to face charges related to the Tyler Shapiro attack.
But the family still wouldn't testify.
Correct, which weakened the prosecution's case considerably. So we cut a deal.
What was the deal?
Pleaded guilty to child molestation. The sentence was indeterminate. 1 to 10 years.
1 to 10. For that level of violence against a child.
And here's the part that's just infuriating. The absolute failure. He was paroled after only 34 months.
Less than 3 years. How?
A state prison psychiatrist evaluated him and determined he had improved.
Improved. From chronic, severe antisocial personality disorder after nearly killing a child.
It's staggering. A catastrophic misjudgment based on his ability to manipulate to present a reformed face.
And did this improvement last?
About 2 months.
2 months. What happened?
October 1974, just 2 months after getting out, he's arrested again. Kidnapping a 13-year-old girl, taking her to a beach, forcing her to smoke marijuana.
Immediate recidivism.
Yeah.
Exactly what you'd expect.
So he goes back inside, but not for the kidnapping primarily. It was treated as a parole violation, plus furnishing drugs to a minor. He served another 2 years.
Okay, so 2 more years. Then what?
Then, unbelievably, he's paroled again in June 1977. Pronounced re-reformed.
Re-reformed, they let him out again.
Yes, June 1977. And that date,
Mm-hmm.
that marks the start of his most brutal and prolific period. The system didn't just fail once with him, it failed repeatedly, releasing him right back into the world to hunt.
So June 77, he's out again, re-reformed, and he doesn't waste any time, does he?
Not at all. He somehow gets permission to travel, goes back to New York, and within weeks, by July 1977, another young woman disappears.
Ellen Jane Hoover.
Yes, and she was quite high profile. 23 years old, her father was a well-known nightclub owner. Godparents were Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. Her vanishing caused a huge stir.
And the link to Alcala, was it immediate?
The key clue was found pretty quickly in her date book, an appointment noted for the day she disappeared,
Let me guess.
to meet with John Berger.
Still using the same alias, the same method.
Exactly. Setting up meetings, using that cover.
And her body.
Her remains weren't found until about a year later, in 1978. Discovered on the Rockefeller estate near North Tarrytown.
That location, you mentioned he used places like that.
Yes. Secluded, scenic spots. He'd often take women there, supposedly for photo shoots. It fits his pattern perfectly. It suggests a routine, a practice method for luring and likely disposing of victims.
The level of confidence or maybe arrogance was just feeling. He comes back to LA around the same time, late 77.
He does, and gets this bizarre job, briefly, working as a typesetter at the Los Angeles Times.
At the LA Times, while being a paroled felon potentially wanted for murder.
It beggars belief, doesn't it? Embedding himself right inside a major news organization.
Did anyone there notice anything odd?
Oh, yes. Coworkers later remembered him showing off his photography portfolio. They described the photos as weird. Some specifically mentioned seeing pictures of naked teenage boys.
So he wasn't even trying to hide that side completely. He was using the job, the location, to further his hobby?
It seems like it. The camera was his disguise, his tool for access. He reportedly convinced hundreds of young people, men and women, that he was a legitimate fashion photographer building his portfolio.
Using that lie to gain trust, to get them alone.
It was his primary weapon, in a way, long before any physical violence occurred.
And then in the midst of all this, the job, the photography, the murders, he goes on national television. 1978, The Dating Game.
Bachelor number 1. It's still surreal to watch clips of it.
Hearing the host introduce him, successful photographer, skydiving, motorcycling, the perfect image.
While he's actively preying on women, the mask was flawless in that moment.
And the things he said on the show, looking back, are they creepy?
Deeply unsettling. When asked to describe himself as a meal, he says, "I'm called the banana and I look really good, peel me."
Ugh.
And then they ask him to act like a dirty old man and he just growls, "Come on over here." It's like the darkness is right there, barely contained.
He actually won the date, didn't he?
He did. But the Bachelorette, Cheryl Bradshaw, she listened to her gut. She later said he seemed creepy, that she got weird vibes.
And she refused to go out with him.
Yes, a decision that almost certainly saved her life.
Wow, that intuition. But the show itself came back to haunt him later, didn't it? In court.
Yeah, in a really strange way. During one of his trials, Alcala, acting as his own lawyer.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Right. He tried to use the footage to claim he owned a pair of gold ball earrings, the same type later found among his victim trophies. He argued, "See, I wore earrings like this."
Trying to create an innocent explanation for having them.
Exactly. But another contestant from that same episode testified. She pointed out that back in 1978, men, especially on a TV show like that, just didn't wear gold ball earrings. It wasn't the style.
So that little detail of social history helped sink his alibi.
It did. It showed he was likely lying about the earrings belonging to him.
Okay, so now we're entering the period from 1977 to 1979. The core California murders that eventually got consolidated. Was there a clear signature emerging?
Absolutely. A terrifyingly consistent one. It's what ultimately allowed the legal argument for joinder.
What were the common elements?
1, young, single, Caucasian females. 2, severe blunt force trauma, especially to the face and head. 3, bodies found unclothed or partially nude, mainly from the waist down.
Indicating sexual assault.
Strong evidence of sexual assault, or at least a clear sadistic sexual motivation in almost all cases. And 4, the bodies were often deliberately posed.
Posed. What does that imply?
It suggests a ritualistic aspect. Control, domination, maybe taking time after the murder. It points away from simple rage and towards something more calculated and, frankly, performative for the killer himself.
Let's walk through these California victims because their cases became intertwined. Jill Barkham, 1977.
Jill's 18, found nude in the Hollywood Hills. The level of violence was extreme. Skull crushed, teeth fractured, evidence of a bite mark.
And the cause of death?
Strangulation, but not just one way. The autopsy showed she was strangled with a belt, with nylon hose, and with a piece of her own pants leg.
3 different methods. That's overkill.
It suggests intense rage, sadism. DNA evidence found later matched Alcala with odds of 1 in 100 billion.
Just horrific. Then, only about a month later, Georgia Wickstead.
Georgia was 27, a nurse, found in her apartment in Malibu. Clear signs of forced entry.
And the scene.
Similar pattern. Naked, posed on her bedspread. Strangled incredibly tightly with a nylon stocking it, left a deep mark. Massive head injuries, possibly from a hammer found nearby. And again, brutal mutilation of her genital area.
Any physical evidence linking Alcala directly?
Yes. DNA, again, with an even more astronomical probability match 1 in 1 trillion. Plus, investigators lifted a clear palm print from the brass railing of her bed. It matched Alcala.
Okay, so palm print, DNA. Very strong links there. Next is Charlotte Lamb, June 1978.
Charlotte was 32, a legal secretary, found in the laundry room of her apartment building in El Segundo.
Same pattern?
Nude, beaten, strangled, this time with a makeshift garrote made from a shoelace. It fractured cartilage in her neck. Lacerations to her genital area, consistent with the others.
The DNA.
Another incredibly rare match, 1 in 403 trillion. But the really crucial piece of evidence for Charlotte Lamb wasn't found at the scene. It came later, much later.
We'll come back to that. Okay, the last of these 4 LA cases before the Orange County one. Jill Parenteau, June 1979.
Jill was 21, found in her Burbank apartment. Again, signs of forced entry. She'd been beaten. Died from severe hemorrhaging due to strangulation.
And the posing.
Yes. Found completely nude, legs spread, with pillows deliberately placed under her shoulders.
Was there DNA or fingerprint evidence in her case?
Serological testing at the time didn't exclude Alcala. The characteristics matched a group present in about 3.5% of the population.
Yeah.
Not definitive like the DNA later, but suggestive.
But there was another link.
A very direct one. A friend of Jill's testified that she and Jill had actually met and socialized with Alcala multiple times at a local club shortly before the murder. He was in her circle.
He knew her personally. That's different from some of the others, maybe.
It shows his range. Stranger attacks, but also cultivating potential victims he knew.
Okay, so those are the 4 LA County murders. But the case that actually led to his arrest this time was in Orange County, right?
Yes. The abduction and murder of 12-year-old Robin Samson in June 1979. This was the case that finally stopped him, at least temporarily.
A 12-year-old girl abducted on her way to ballet class.
Yes, in Huntington Beach. She was riding a yellow bicycle she'd borrowed.
Were there witnesses? How did they connect it to Alcala?
There were witnesses near the beach that day who saw a man trying to photograph young girls in bikinis. They gave a description.
And Alcala was a known photographer.
And crucially, he was on parole in Orange County at that time. His parole officer saw the composite sketch made from the witnesses' descriptions and recognized him.
The parole officer made the connection. Wow.
And then there was another critical sighting, near where Robin's body was eventually found.
Who saw something?
A U.S. Forestry Service worker named Dana Crappa. She was driving in a remote area near Sierra Madre on the day Robin disappeared.
What did she see?
She saw a man who matched Alcala's description, forcefully steering. A young blonde girl mashing Robin's description towards a stream bed off the road.
Forcefully steering.
Yeah.
Like controlling her.
That was her impression. She felt something was wrong. She even saw the man's car parked nearby the next day. A distinctive older Datsun F10. She noticed he had dirt stains on his clothes.
Did she report it immediately?
No, tragically. She felt guilty later for not speaking up sooner, but her testimony eventually became crucial for placing Alcala in that remote area at the exact time.
And Robin's remains were found there.
Yes, 12 days after she vanished, in the Angeles National Forest, near where Crappa had seen the man and the girl.
What was the condition? I mean, could they tell what happened?
It was difficult due to severe decomposition. She was found unclothed, and horribly her body was mutilated. Her hands and feet were missing.
Oh my God.
While they couldn't definitively confirm sexual assault because of the decomposition, the circumstances abducted, unclothed, dumped in a remote area, strongly pointed to an unlawful sexual purpose. Plus, her lower front teeth were smashed, consistent with the blunt force trauma seen in Alcala's other victims.
So the parole officer's ID, the forestry worker's sighting, the location, the MO, the links were strong.
Very strong. But now the legal problem. 1 murder in Orange County, 4 known prior murders up in Los Angeles County. How do you prosecute that effectively? That set the stage for the next big chapter.
And the key to bridging that jurisdictional gap wasn't just testimony, it was physical evidence, wasn't it? The storage locker.
The Seattle storage locker, yes.
Yeah.
That became the linchpin. It was almost accidental how they found out about it.
How did that happen? He's arrested in July '79 for the Samso case.
Right. Police search his mother's house where he sometimes stayed. They find the Datsun F10 that Dana Crappa had described seeing near the dump site.
Okay, the car matches.
And they find a small piece of paper, a receipt for a storage locker.
Mm-hmm.
Not in California, but way up in Seattle, Washington.
Seattle. Why Seattle? Did he have ties there?
It's not entirely clear why he chose Seattle, maybe just for distance, anonymity, but he realized immediately that receipt was dangerous.
What did he do?
From jail, he managed to call his sister and told her to go to his mother's house and get that receipt before the police seized it as evidence.
Trying to destroy the trail. Did she get it?
She did retrieve the original receipt, but the police were quick. They had already seen it and copied down the information.
Ah, so they had what they needed.
Exactly. Based on that copied info, they got a search warrant for the Seattle locker. And the keys? They found those in Alcala's briefcase when he was arrested.
So they fly up to Seattle, open the locker. What do they find? It's described as a mother lode, right?
That's how detectives put it. Boxes upon boxes. Over 1,700 photographs and negatives.
1,700. Just an unbelievable number. What were they pictures of?
A huge variety.
Yeah.
Many were slides of women he'd photographed, including some taken on the beach the very day Robin Samso disappeared. Police actually tracked down those women later.
Were they okay?
Thankfully, yes. The ones they found were unharmed. But it proved his M.O., approaching women constantly with the camera. But the most critical find wasn't just the photos.
The jewelry.
A small cloth pouch filled with jewelry. His trophies.
And this is where the Samsung connection gets solidified.
Yes. Inside that pouch was a pair of gold ball earrings.
Yeah.
Robin Samso's mother was brought in.
And she recognized them.
instantly. But more than that, she pointed out a tiny, specific modification she herself had made to one of the earrings using her own nail clippers.
A unique mark.
A unique set of microscopic scratches, or striations. Forensic examiners tested her nail clippers against the earring. They matched perfectly. It was irrefutable, physical proof that these earrings belonged to Robin Samso and were now in Alcala's possession, strongly suggesting he took them after killing her.
Okay, so that links the Orange County case directly to that locker, to Alcala. But what about linking the LA cases? That was the hurdle for consolidation.
That breakthrough came years later. Science had to catch up. Between 2001 and 2003, with major advancements in DNA technology.
They went back to the locker evidence.
They went back to that same cloth pouch full of jewelry. They were able to test other items that had been collected back in 1979.
And they tested another earring.
Yes, a distinctive rose-shaped pierced earring also found in that pouch. They managed to extract trace amounts of biological material fluids, skin cells, maybe from it.
After more than 20 years.
After more than 20 years. And they developed a DNA profile from it.
Whose DNA was it?
It was a match to Charlotte Lamb, the victim from the El Segundo laundry room back in 1978, one of the LA County victims.
Wow. So in the same pouch where they found Robin Samso's unique earrings from Orange County.
They find an earring with Charlotte Lamb's DNA from Los Angeles County.
That's the bridge. That's the physical link connecting the crimes across county lines, all tied directly to Alcala's trophy collection.
Precisely. It demolished any argument that these were separate, unrelated incidents. It proved he kept mementos from different victims together, and it provided the crucial forensic foundation for the legal battle to try these cases together.
Which was a huge legal fight in itself, wasn't it? Getting these cases joined.
Oh, enormous. And it lasted for decades. The core problem was jurisdiction. Before the late 90s, if a serial killer committed murders in different counties, like Alcala did in Orange and LA.
You had to have separate trials in each county.
Exactly. Which meant incredible expense, repeated efforts, and worst of all, forcing victims' families to endure the trauma of a trial over and over again for each separate case.
It seems like a system almost designed to benefit the killer, letting them compartmentalize their crimes legally.
It certainly worked that way often. Defense attorneys could delay, appeal each case individually, argue that evidence from, say, an LA murder wasn't relevant or admissible in the Orange County trial, and vice versa.
So what changed?
The California legislature recognized this loophole, this inefficiency, especially in capital cases. In 1998, they passed a specific law, Penal Code Section 790, Subdivision B.
And what did that law do?
It was specifically designed to allow for inter-county joinder, joining cases from different counties into one trial, but only for capital murder cases involving multiple victims.
So it applied directly to Alcala's situation.
Perfectly. The law stated joinder was allowed if the murders were connected together in their commission.
Connected together. That seems like the key phrase.
It was. And Alcala, naturally, fought this consolidation with everything he had. His case went all the way to the California Supreme Court.
What was his argument against joinder?
His lawyers argued that connected together wasn't enough. They claimed the law required prosecutors to prove the murders were part of a stricter standard, a common plan or scheme.
What's the difference? Why did you want that stricter standard?
Because proving a common plan or scheme is much harder. It basically implies the killer planned out all the murders in advance as part of one single conspiracy. That's rarely the case with serial killings, which are often opportunistic within a pattern. He wanted the Samson case tried alone in Orange County, hoping to keep the overwhelming evidence from the 4 LA murders out.
So how did the Supreme Court rule in that 2008 decision, Alcala v. Superior Court?
They rejected Alcala's argument. They ruled that the legislature intended the broader standard. The murders just needed to be connected together in their commission by having a common element of substantial importance.
A common element, like the signature you described earlier.
Exactly. The court said you didn't need proof of a pre-planned conspiracy. You needed to show a consistent, systematic method of killing, linking the crimes. It focused on the pattern, the MO, the signature.
And did the court find those common elements in Alcala's cases?
They explicitly listed 7 factors that connected the 5 murders. 1, all victims were young, single Caucasian females. 2, all suffered that distinct blunt force facial trauma. 3, all found nude or partially nude. 4, clear sexual motivation.
Okay.
5, the court actually said the shared intent or motivation itself, the intent to brutally kill young females, could be considered a valid common element connecting the crimes.
That's interesting. The shared mindset is a link.
6, They all occurred within a relatively tight time frame, about 19 months. And 7, the crucial physical link. Charlotte Lamb's earring, with her DNA, found on the same pouch as Robin Samsone's identified earrings.
The trophy connected.
That sealed it. The court said these 7 factors overwhelmingly showed the murders were connected together in their commission.
So the joint trial could proceed. Did they also address whether it would be unfair or prejudicial to Alcala?
Yes, that was the final test. Would joining strong cases with potentially weaker ones unfairly sway the jury? The court said no, not here. First, they ruled the evidence in all 5 cases was actually quite strong by that point, especially with the Samso case being powerfully boosted by the DNA link to the Lamb earring. It wasn't a case of propping up weak charges.
Okay.
Second, they determined that evidence from the 4 L.A. murders would likely have been admissible in the Samso trial anyway, even if tried separately.
How so?
To prove intent, premeditation, deliberation, things the prosecution needs to show for first-degree murder. Under California evidence rules, showing similar past crimes to prove intent only requires the least degree of similarity.
And killing 4 other young women in a similar manner certainly qualifies as similar.
Absolutely. So the evidence was likely coming in one way or another. Joinder just made it more efficient.
Yeah.
Finally, all 5 were already capital offenses on their own. Joining them didn't suddenly make it a death penalty case. It already was 5 times over.
So the Supreme Court gave the green light. The consolidated trial for all 5 murders finally happens in 2010.
Yes. And Alcala decides to represent himself. Pro se.
Which, given his IQ and his history of manipulation, must have made for a bizarre trial.
Utterly bizarre. It became his stage. He'd question himself, using a deeper voice for, Mr. Alcala. He'd ramble, go off on tangents, try to weave these complex, unbelievable alibis. It was pure theater, aimed at confusing and controlling the narrative.
And didn't he do something really strange during his closing arguments? Something with music?
Yes, arguing against the death penalty, trying to make some kind of point about who knows what, madness maybe. He played a section of Arlo Guthrie's song, Alice's Restaurant.
Which part?
The part where the narrator goes on this rant shouting, I want to kill, kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Kill, kill, kill.
He played that to the jury deciding his fate.
He did. It was profoundly disturbing. A chilling display of his lack of remorse, maybe even mocking the proceedings.
Did it work? Did the theatrics sway the jury?
Not in the way he hoped. They saw through it. They convicted him on all 5 counts of first-degree murder.
And then came the penalty phase, where they decide life or death. And someone unexpected testified.
Tali Shapiro, the woman who survived his horrific attack back in 1968 when she was just 8 years old.
She came forward after all those years.
She did. Her testimony was incredibly powerful. She looked at the court, at the man who had nearly killed her, and basically summed up the entire tragedy of the system's failure. She said, "It should have stopped with me."
Wow. Just devastating. 40 years of pain encapsulated in that one sentence.
It really highlighted the human cost of those parole decisions, of letting him slip through the cracks time and again.
So Alcala gets the death sentence for the 3rd time, and after that the focus shifts slightly, right, to potentially identifying more victims.
Exactly. With him finally secured, authorities decided to take a drastic step. Release some of the photos from that Seattle storage locker to the public.
The ones that weren't too explicit.
Right. In 2010, they released about 120 images out of the nearly 2,000 found. The hope was that someone out there might recognize a face, perhaps connect Alcala to a cold case, a missing person.
Did it work? Were there any hits?
There were. The response was significant initially. Within weeks, about 21 women contacted police saying, "That's me in the photo."
Were they victims?
Thankfully, no. There were women he had photographed who were alive and well. It just further confirmed how widespread his photographer activities were. But more importantly, about 6 families came forward believing they recognized missing relatives in those photos.
And did any of those leads pan out?
One did, definitively. In 2013, a family member saw a photo of a woman on a motorcycle wearing a distinctive yellow shirt.
Who did they recognize her as?
Christine Ruth Thornton. She was 28 and 6 months pregnant when she vanished back in 1977.
1977. During his peak spree, where had she disappeared from, or where was the photo taken?
The photo seemed to be taken somewhere out west, likely Wyoming. And tragically, her remains had actually been found years earlier, in 1982, near a place called Granger, Wyoming. But they were unidentified. Jane Doe remains for decades.
So the photo provided the potential link.
Yes. Investigators used DNA from Christine's sister and compared it to the unidentified remains found in Wyoming.
And it was a match.
It was a match. Confirmed in 2015, the photo Alcala took was near the remote area where her body was later discovered. It placed him right there.
Did they ever talk to Alcala about her case?
They did. In 2016, investigators interviewed him in prison. He was much older, frail, showing signs of dementia.
What happened in the interview?
They showed him the crime scene photos from Wyoming, photos of Christine's remains. His reaction was chilling. He looked at them and said, "I know that area. That's my area."
He admitted being there?
He admitted being familiar with the location. Then he reportedly used his finger to slowly trace the outline of Christine's body in one of the photographs. He admitted he was there with her. But, true to form, he denied killing her. Claimed she was alive when he left.
Still manipulating, still denying, even then.
But his admission of being there, combined with the photo and the location of the body, was enough. Wyoming charged him with her murder.
Did he ever stand trial in Wyoming?
No, his health had deteriorated too much by then. But his fate was already sealed elsewhere.
Right, because he also faced charges in New York for those early murders.
Yes. In 2012, likely to avoid more trials and extradition fights, he pleaded guilty to the 1971 murder of Cornelia Crilly and the 1977 murder of Ellen Jane Hover.
What sentence did he get for those?
25 years to life for each, served concurrently. New York didn't have the death penalty then, so that was the maximum.
So that brings the final confirmed count to 7 murders he was convicted of or pleaded guilty to, plus the Wyoming indictment.
Correct. 7 confirmed victims across 3 states, spanning nearly a decade.
And Alcala himself.
He remained on California's death row until he died of natural causes in prison in July 2021. He was 77 years old.
So 7 confirmed. But that shadow of the potential 130 still hangs there, doesn't it? Because of all those unidentified photos.
It absolutely does. Whether the true number is 10, 20, 50, or even higher, we'll likely never know for sure. But those hundreds of faces in his collection represent potential cold cases, potential families still waiting for answers.
He was a master manipulator, a chameleon who used charm as a weapon and exploited the gaps in the justice system for decades.
He really did, crossing state lines, county lines, changing identities.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was the painstaking work of forensic science. The DNA from a decades-old earring, the striations on another combined with that crucial legal change allowing consolidation that finally brought his reign to an end.
It's quite a final thought, isn't it? That despite his death, Alcala's presence lingers. He might still be, in a way, claiming victims posthumously.
I mean,
Through those unidentified photos, each face in that collection is still seeking recognition, still seeking justice. As long as they remain unnamed, his story isn't completely closed. The search continues. Okay, so we hope you liked our today's discussion. For more such discussions, subscribe to our channel, Phantom Homicide.